I've just got a few different links here in my email. So I'll start off. Maybe I won't start with that one. I'll start off with this one. So this actual article is about the what's their take on the quantum financial system, and I'm sharing this and going over this because the ISO 20022 is intricately connected to what people dub the QFS. And I am on the fence, actually, to be honest, about the QFS. I mean, well, let me explain that. What people's perception of what the QFS is a very wide and broad topic. And different people will view the QFS in completely different eyes and in completely different ways. And so I think it's become like a catch-all phrase, if you like, or a nice, it's a nice feel-good term for this the new financial system that we're coming into. But to me, the quantum aspect more relates to the blockchain and its quantum-like effects, if you like, and it's not yet actual quantum computers. So a lot of people think that we're going to be going into a quantum computer linked system, and in my view, that's not happening at this point, although I know they are definitely working on quantum computers. So basically, at some stage, maybe not in our lifetime, maybe depending on how old you are, maybe it will be near the end of our life, but I think it's still a good decade away, if not more. But anyway, it is something that has been bandied around, and you'll often see this on social media. So I thought I would speak into this just to touch on it. My main focus is obviously on what ISO 20022 is. But as they say in this article, they say the new quantum financial system is a new global monetary system that will leverage quantum computing, quantum secure blockchain encryption, and quantum cryptography. So I think at this stage, we're only going to see the kind of blockchain encryption aspect. There'll be a phased in process, and there's still a lot of development yet to be done in this space. Then they go on to say this new global monetary system will be implemented with the use of new international monetary protocols, such as ISO 20022, central bank digital currencies, programmable money, and universal digital identities. So many people view the QFS as almost like akin to a Nasara Jasara, and it's, all positive. And yet these guys are lumping it in with other things that we would term quite dystopian. So this is why I do not agree with using these kind of titles like QFS and quantum financial system, and because it's really clickbait in many ways, and you've got to be very specific in what you're talking about. And I don't see, I mean, from a central banker, maybe the CBDC and digital IDs and programmable money is quantum to them, but clearly it would be, I'd say, quite a quantum retrograde step for many of us. So, when I saw this, I thought, oh, this gives me an opportunity to speak about why we must do quite a lot of research, to just band around terms like QFS and NESARA, JASARA as well, comes under the same bracket. I mean, what do those terms actually mean? And, who do they mean that to? And what is their outcome? What's the intentions behind these people who are saying this sort of stuff? So, this is sort of why there's so much misinformation and disinformation out there. And someone could say the QFS is coming and it's going to be great, and then there's someone else saying no, it's dystopian, it's going to be CBDCs and all that. And then with articles like this, you can see why people get confused. And to many people, reading this article would be their research, or it would be reading what people disseminate on social media, on X and on Facebook and all that, what they see it as. And it couldn't be further from the truth. This is very surface information, but I do agree that the ISO20022 is definitely a key feature of a new banking system. So let's just call it what it is. It's a new financial system that's coming, and we don't yet know how it's going to look. We don't yet know what effects it's going to have or anything like that, except that it is blockchain enabled, and it is going to be a transformational effect on the social on humanity at large. It's going to touch everybody in the world. So we know that, but when you want to get into specifics of how it's going to look and what it's going to mean and all of that, that is all still quite open to conjecture. But having said that, though, obviously we are exploring the whole decentralized concept of finance, and that is something that we are getting a bit more clarity on and a bit more specifics. But even with that area, there's still a lot to yet be discovered, because we don't yet know, who's implementing what at the top. We don't yet know what's coming down the pipe as far as other initiatives to maybe there definitely will be initiatives to try and stymie or stop decentralized finance. But the nature of the technology is going to make it quite difficult to fully stop it. What it is decentralized finance may not be the full panacea that people want. It's not a complete instantaneous kind of utopia paradise, but just because some decentralized blockchains are out there, it doesn't mean that we're all going to instantly taste this financial freedom, financial sovereignty and that overnight. Certainly not. There's still a lot that's got to happen, but it is a big leap forward, and the potential that it holds is also huge. And I might add that this whole new digital financial system is coming. There's 100%, we know that. And so that alone is a good excuse for us, I believe, to move with this technology, that to just look at it and stand on the sidelines and throw stones without actually getting in right down into the weeds and finding out what's really going on. you're never really going to know. You're not going to know what you're talking about if you just, just throw dirt, if you like, at the whole DeFi space. But I also know that, there are a lot of people in the DeFi space who are, I'd say, quite full of it. They're not necessarily fully well versed in other areas of life and other areas of the economy and their own self and their thing. And then there's other people in there that are very, very highly intelligent on many levels, including spiritually, as well as certainly intelligence-wise, IQ. Some of these people are very, very genius. But real intelligence is a fully integrative. It analyzes the whole that we are, the whole of the world, the whole that makes up life. And real intelligence can integrate all areas into one place. So we've sort of got to really, just take one step at a time and not get too ahead of ourselves. But it is still exciting to be in this space because we are in there before the institutional investors. Never in history when there's been a major monetary reset have the people even had any real advanced knowledge of it, or if they had, there was no way they could get into it. Whereas with us, we've actually some people have been dabbling in this space for 15 years, and the whole big boys, the institutions, the banks, which was inevitable, they're going to come in. Nothing's going to come in on their watch without their participation. But the fact is that they are coming they're coming in now. That's starting to come in. And that's why I think 2024, ironically, 2024 will be a good year because of their presence, because, they're going to obviously push the price up quite a lot. So, more than quite a lot. Over time, it's going to be massive. But so basically it's a double-edged sword, but this is life. It's a dual world. You can't really, everything has an opposite. Everything that's positive has a negative, and everything that's negative has a positive. So that's why we can't get too hamstrung on either being absolutely putting this on a pedestal and thinking it's the savior of us and all of that. No. But by the same token, we can't go the other way and see it as the absolute dystopia, the worst thing that could ever happen, like a lot of people do see it. They just are afraid of technology, and a lot of people have very poor consciousness around money. They're either wanting the greed, or they're completely in denial, and they see poverty as actually a virtue, and neither of them are absolutely healthy. They're not healthy for us at all. So this is why we've got to get our own intentions and our emotions under control. We've got to try and work on ourselves while we work on this DeFi space, because there is a lot. There's a lot involved here. I was just saying the other day that there's after sex and money, you've got the sex and money is probably the two biggest shadows that we've got. That's where the biggest dark spaces exist. But I'll now add in technology. I'd say technology is right up there now. But if you're combining technology with money, that's quite a potent mix. It's quite controversial and contentious. And because we're dealing with a very badly debased money system, and we're dealing with a lot of quite dystopian plans around the technology and the money, but we're also looking at potential incredible potential positives out of all of this as well. So what we're going to see is big extremes, very big extremes of people either wanting to be all in or people who don't want to be in at all, and people who are running away for one end and people running to the other end. And really, it's ultimately we're here to find the balance in the middle. And we'll always fear what we don't understand. We'll always have an issue or a problem or a challenge when we're dealing with things that we don't understand. And the lack of understanding creates the shadow, which then creates the issue. So anyway, so that's a bit of a rave around that, but I thought that's quite important to put that in. So yeah, well, especially when you talk about QFS and all that. So I'm not going to go much more into that. This is quite interesting reading, but I'm mainly interested in what they say here about the ISO part, because that's what we're here to focus on. And as they say here, ISO20022 is a global standard for financial messaging that provides a common language and structure for electronic data interchange between financial institutions and provides a framework for standardizing the messaging protocols used in cryptocurrency transactions, which will help to improve interoperability between various financial and banking systems. So to basically translate that into a nutshell, the current financial institutions and banks now have competition in the form of fintechs and cryptocurrency, and the ISO standard is the protocol or the algorithm or the code, the data that literally links the two up. So as someone who's in cryptocurrency, that's pretty exciting and bullish. So that, and the banks now are really, they have to deal with crypto as well as traditional fiat. And you could liken the ISO standard to the rails, a train, the rail tracks of a train. As that messaging, that's what they use to send out. Like when you do a payment, it sends the details of the payment from one bank to another, or from one fintech or crypto to the end recipient. And but unlike the current SWIFT system, which New Zealand uses, New Zealand, Australia, and most of the Western world, apart from Europe, use the SWIFT system. We'll go into their website in a minute. And they do not send the money. They only send the orders. They send the payment, this amount, this person is paying this much money over to this company in this country, and rah, rah, rah. That's all that SWIFT does. SWIFT then utilize the services, the current services of the bank to actually send the money. And when you're sending overseas, because we've got all these different countries with slightly different protocol, different systems, if you like, and they have different currencies, they don't gel. They don't gel well together. That's not a smooth process. You can't just send New Zealand dollars to American dollars and just do it simply. It has to go through all these processes and a couple of middlemen, at least a couple of middlemen, if not more. And the messaging goes out, and then the payment follows days later, at least a couple of days to even up to 5 days later. So with the ISO system, it's actually doing the messaging instantly along with the payment. in one hit. And we know that XRP is instrumental. That is providing an instrumental piece in the middle to facilitate the payment. They are like the fee token, if you like. These banks hold a bit of XRP, and then when the payment goes through, they use their holdings of the XRP to pay for the fee and whatever, and then it sends it on its way. And so that is very groundbreaking. Sounds kind of seemingly quite simple in that, but it is actually quite groundbreaking to revolutionary technology. So that's sort of what ISO20022 is, just so we know. We kind of, I'll do another dive into CBDCs and the QFS and Jasara. I want to do it all as time ticks over and we get closer to the financial collapse and the reset and that, then I think we'll start seeing more and more evidence of what's really starting to happen, and then I can speak with more authority and more certainty about what it's going to make, what it might look like, you know. So we'll save that for another time. So this is all kind of general information that we don't need to go into right now. So if I go back to, now I'm just going to have a quick look at Swift. So this gives you a bit of an idea of what we've currently got now. And I went onto their website, and immediately the first thing that pops up is ISO 20022 for payments now live. It actually went live in March of this year. So what was the big deal about what happened on the 19th of November? Well, on the 19th of November, the ISO standard messaging system linked in with the majority of the other key payment providers around the world. So they're going live. It's been sort of incrementally rolled out. But what happened on the 19th of November is major banks and the Swift version of payments in Europe's called SEPA, that was originally due to be hooked up as well on the 19th, but that has actually been delayed now by a couple of, I think it's about 3 months till early next year. But majority of the others are all linked up. And I believe that also includes payment providers like, if you think about Stripe, PayPal, there's a whole bunch of them. When you look around the world, there's a lot of payment providers. But the big major messaging ones like Swift and SEPA, and there's one for Africa and different regions around the world. These are now predominantly, the majority of them are now linked up to the ISO. So that is very cool. The other thing is that they're giving all the financial institutions and banks, now they've got to sign up to it. And they're giving them till November 2025 for all of them to be linked up. So there's still another 2 years to go before all payment providers will be fully using this system. But they reckon around 70% of all payment providers will be linked up live as from now. So that's a fairly, that probably included SEPA, and then they kind of delayed it. So it's maybe more like 60%, I don't know, but it's a fairly high majority. And it's running on like, it's like a car that's running on, a 6-cylinder car that's running on 4 cylinders, because they're not integrating all of its full capabilities. They're not integrated yet all its full potential. They're still kind of testing it in a way, but in a live way. And a lot of these banks and financial institutions, they're very conservative and they're very skeptical. At first, they were very skeptical, but now they obviously have to join up. Otherwise, they're going to be on the outer. So obviously, so this is why now, even though it's gone live, it doesn't mean that the prices of XRP and XLM and the other resident tokens being XDC, Algorand, Quant, IOTA, I think also HBAR is now joined up, and I think Cardano as well, or Cardano's in talks to join up. So these doesn't mean that the price of these tokens is immediately just going to go to the moon, because they're still sort of rolling it out, but mainly also because a lot of people just don't know about it. They have no idea, certainly not, everyday average people. And the institutions, they will know about it, but they are not yet buying into it until the last minute. They will buy in when they absolutely have to. They will not, they work in unison. These guys at the very top with all the really big bucks, the ones that really move the market, the big market movers with the big money, the big deep pockets, they are all synchronized. They all work together because they're all under the same club, the same umbrella, and they have a coordinated agreement of when they're going to start plunging their money in and then firing this train, if you like, up to full speed. It's like going from a steam engine to full electrification. That's sort of what it'll be like when it really is coming on with all its bells and whistles. And as much as I'd like to say it's earlier, but I think that, we will have bull runs between now and November 2025, but I think we're looking to at least mid to the end of 2025 before the major market crash comes and before the major reset, if you like, over into the crypto system and fully coming out, you say it like from the shadows and revealing to the people, this is what we're doing now, and it'll be all on for young and old then. So I've actually made a really good contact with a guy who's been in crypto since 2013. He heard my talk on Reality Check Radio, which was really cool. And so we had a meeting, and my God, this guy has got a lot of knowledge, and it was really great to talk to him. He's given me some interesting things to think about. And I suggested to him, maybe you might want to come on and talk to my group. And he was quite keen on that, because he's wanting to set up a kind of alternative money system, but based upon Bitcoin, believe it or not. And so I queried him on all the Bitcoin thing. And to cut a long story short, he told me some things about Bitcoin that I didn't know, and it changed my tune a bit on it. I've been moving that way. I've been seeing that it's here to stay, and it could have quite a bright future. But I won't go into more of that now, because that's not the basis of this talk, but very interesting. Anyway, let's just say that. So anyway, here we are. So if you go to standards, this gives you more information on ISO, and their version of it is that ISO20022 is an open global standard for financial information. It provides consistent, rich, and structured data that can be used for every kind of financial business transaction. So theirs is a bit more simplified. They don't like to give out too much detailed information, these guys, because I think these websites are more set up for their banks and for institutions and stuff, not so much for the general public, I get the feeling. We have compiled a list of questions frequently asked about ISO 20022 by members of the Swift community. So I'll have a look at that. We'll have a look at that and see what they've got to say. It's actually going to be quite in depth. So maybe some of this will be probably quite heavy and quite hard to understand. So maybe we won't do that. But let's just have a look here. Just see what's the difference between the inflow translation service, transaction manager, and local translations with Swift Translator. So basically, what's the difference between ISO 20022 and current Swift? During the coexistence period, Swift provides support for interoperability. That's a word we're going to see a lot. Interoperability between ISO 20022 MX and MT. So MT is the current system for Swift. So they're kind of intermeshing their two systems together and users through a messaging-based inflow translation service and transaction manager. So I guess the translation is the translation of their terminology, the acronyms like MX and all of that. So it's really all just about for the users of it and for the, I guess, the bank managers and that. So we won't go too much into that because it's a bit of gobbledygook. Just have a look about this one. Right, we are live. What are the next steps during coexistence? Now that the go live for ISO 20022 for cross-border payments and reporting, CBPR, so that's CBPR, cross-border payment reporting, that's what that stands for, has happened, and the coexistence period has started. Here's what you can do to be ready for the future. So they're just talking to the banks. So if you already started using CBPR plus messages, we're looking forward to seeing you progress through your activation plans and increasing volumes. So they're actively telling people to start using it. If not the case yet, we encourage you to start planning and working towards native adoption of ISO 20022 in preparation of the end of coexistence and the retirement of categories 1, 2, and 9 of MT messages in November 2025. So in other words, they're saying that it's the two systems are going to run side by side, and then come November 2025, the old system's going to be cast adrift. It's going to be retired. Please also keep in mind that the scope of CBPR messages will be increasing during coexistence, with checks and direct debits starting in November 2023. So that's another big deal of what's just happened. Oh God, I've got this huge ant that's just crawling over my computer. It's massive. About the size of a small spider. Anyway, back to where I was. The following resources are available to help you ensure continued readiness as we move forward. So basically, this is giving you what I'm doing here. This is more of what I call the real research and due diligence and facts. This is what's happening at the actual source, and it's not secondhand, third-hand, infinite hand information. It's actually what's happening, and they're saying it's going. We're live now, and they're pushing it. They're starting to push it along now. So that's really really useful information. So now I'll just go back to my emails. There's just a couple of things that I got off on social media from Twitter. This is one, if you're on X or X Twitter, whatever. If you're on X, this channel ISO20022 Let's Do It is a very good channel to follow. Is one of the few on social media where I actually will look at his actual messages, because he provides great graphics. He simplifies what's happening with these beautiful infographics, and he's bringing forward the information as it's really happening in real time. And he's a very much an avid poster, so it's really good, keeping us informed. And he's saying here, with XRP, we can provide an online, offline payment system with instant settlement for a market of up to $2 trillion today, plus will be widely adopted as banks switch to ISO 20022. So now that the ISO is live, that's now going to pull the banks, and it's going to pull the big money in. They can't do anything if they can't send the money. And as XRP has been set up as a global currency, that's what it's likened to. It's really important that, you know, you've got to lay down the tracks before you can run the train. So again, this is sort of what's happening, is that the tracks are being laid down and the train has left the station, but it's gathering steam, if you like. It's gathering speed. Here's another one it's the same one, so forget about that. I thought I had another one. Try this one. Okay, so this is something on LinkedIn that I found. After Swift postponed the ISO 200 migration from November 2022 to March 2023, many organizations shifted their focus from the migration to other company priorities. Now that the first phase of ISO 20022 migration is live, financial institutions are refocusing on this critical migration to ensure that their systems are in place before the deadline in November 2025. Many organizations have already begun to process MX messages, MX being the ISO messages, and it is imperative for smooth operation that all financial institutions are aware of any counterparties using MX messages, and that they are prepared to process this new standard. As a reminder, the ISO migration is intended to streamline communications between financial institutions and their counterparties. ISO messages provide enhanced data quality, as well as increased efficiency, interoperability, and standardization of global financial communication. Many regulatory requirements are adopting the ISO 20022 standard, and it behoves financial institutions to meet these requirements as soon as possible. So basically, what they're saying is the whole world is basically indicating that everybody is going to be hooked up to this in the whole world because of the unbanked people. Because previously the unbanked, on the old system, on the old messaging system, the unbanked they didn't have a seat at the table. They weren't participating in this. And this is another reason why I think crypto will be huge, because most of those 2 billion odd unbanked people, rather than going to a bank, they are adopting crypto. And they are the ones that's in the Eastern countries that are driving crypto far more than the West, except for some, the odd Western country, including actually Australia and New Zealand. We're quite ahead of the curve at around 20%. About 20% of the population have some kind of crypto in their wallet. They're not actively pursuing it, but they have some. So that's quite high when you consider the global average is 5%. But when it comes down to who's really actively got a lot to gain from this, that's the Eastern countries, the unbanked, India, Africa, South America, China. So they are far a big population countries, and as they come on board and they start to use these global payments and they start to have to buy their crypto and send their money, that's slowly going to really crank up the price of it. It's why we love the utility tokens, because they'll be here to stay for the long term. They will be no longer speculative. It won't be a gamble. We'll be investing in something that is a real part of the infrastructure of a new system. That's why it may take a little longer for us to get the gains, but it's a slow, steady wins the race. And we have much more certainty about where we're heading. It's not completely risk-free, but a lot more certainty than buying Shiba Inu, buying Dogecoin, buying a meme coin, buying Bored Ape or whatever. That could be here today. Yeah, it could go very high in price, and then tomorrow it could be crashed to zero. And especially when regulations come in, they're green lighting these ISO tokens. Whereas a lot of the other tokens will not survive the regulations. So, and there's a lot going on there at the moment. I might just make a little comment about what happened today that was major as well. If I got time at the end, I'll bring that in. But so basically, this is really massive information, really. It's just that people tend to get so impatient and got such a small attention focus and all that. We just, we get impatient, so we just go off to the next thing, or we might sell our crypto well before it's time, or we might buy in the peak and sell in the dip. And these are all the mistakes that the general average population make. So I'm giving you this real information so that you can plan accordingly and you can be more methodical and potentially change your life, really, and in the next 2 to 5 years, or what's coming could potentially be very life-changing for some people. So it's not that is a bit speculative, but I'm trying to be as hype-free as possible and just be as factual as I can, because I don't want to be like I get accused of in social media that I'm just all about the money and I don't give a shit about anything else and I'm just in for the money and that's it. It's really couldn't be further from the truth. But obviously, money has a place. It's a tool that we need, and we need to ensure that we're protecting our assets and our money. That to me is quite basic. But anyway, so moving on. I don't know whether I need to go. I think I've sort of given you the basic guts of it there. I'll just read this last bit. Although the deadline for phase 1 of ISO200 migration is in November 2025, it is crucial for organizations to prepare their systems to process MX messages. Organizations should take full advantage of the data enrichment and enhanced message processing that the ISO migration provides. Axle Tree can help organizations stay ahead of the curve and continue blah, blah, blah. So they're just promoting their business there. So, so basically that's the majority of the research, if you like, or the proof that ISO is here, it's not hyperbole, it's not conspiracy theory, and that what it ultimately will deliver will be quite massive. And so, yeah, so basically we're getting a little peek into the future in the present moment. And that is a good thing when we're trying to plan what we buy and our portfolios and all that. Especially with this next bull run coming on, I think, especially if you think that we have to wait till maybe 2025 before real mass adoption, then I think this next bull run is quite important, because I know a lot of you, I know a lot of you have been holding for at least 2 to 3 years already, or maybe a bit more, and you haven't really taken any real profit as of yet. And so to keep us going, I think that this bull run, we need to prepare ourselves accordingly to take a bit of profit. And we're going to go into how to do that in our future broadcasts. But I think that this will give us the ability to, restoke our financial coffers, recoup, the long wait that we've had our money out there. And, we could take it to fiat. If you're getting short in fiat, you might want to take it to fiat. Or what I prefer, I'm going to prefer to take it to a debit card, credit card type situation where I can use crypto, or some of these new decentralized banking services that are coming, and then use the money, spend the profit, rather than just sitting on it. You could sit on it if you want as well. It's good to keep some powder dry on the side, as they say, in the form of a stable coin. And then when the market inevitably drops, you can use that money to buy back in and potentially multiply your account even more. So that's also another option. So you've got a few different options there. You can spend it, you can bring it to your bank account, spend it in fiat, spend it as crypto, or you could take the profit to stable coins and just cool your heels and wait until it drops, which, if you're taking profit, it shouldn't be too much further down the track, because usually when it's starting to go really crazy, the drop is inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable. The volatility will still be there. It'll only start to calm down once full regulations are in. And if we're looking at least another year, maybe 18 months away, maybe 2 years, then that's quite a wait. And especially when you've already been, like myself, I've been holding crypto since 2017, 2016, and I haven't taken any profit hardly at all, or a little bit, but not much. And so this time, I plan to do that. Also, I'll give you some other news that some of you may have already heard. But Binance, CZ, the CEO of Binance, is stepping down, and he has been charged $4.2 billion or something fine, which is like eye-watering, right? But but I actually think that this is really, really bullish news. It sounds really negative, but this is bullish news, because this means that they've been trying to take Binance down for years. They didn't like him because he's not part of the club. He's made an extraordinary amount of money. his net worth is something like 50 billion or something. He's like mega rich, but you don't get that rich on their watch, on the central banker's watch. So either they were going to take him right out take out his exchange, which would have been calamitous to the crypto, or he's done a deal. He's done some little deal and he's agreed to step down. And then this gives you could say this gives the cabal, I guess, a bit more ability to now get in the driver's seat with the exchange, the biggest exchange in the world that's turning over something like, it's turning over billions of dollars a day. You know, it's insane. It's literally a money-making machine. So, you know, that may sound bad, but, you know, it's actually really good for the crypto industry, because then, you know, they can now start start getting in regulations in order. These ETFs, it means the ETFs will be coming. And it means that, you know, the big investors are going to be coming very soon. And because Binance is by far the biggest exchange in the world, when that bull run comes, the amount of money that Binance will be making will be astronomical. And so this is an absolute play on greed for those guys to dominate that money at the front end like that. So it's going to be huge. But it means that also it shows that we're getting closer to D-Day, and it will all start to really take off. Because now with Binance sorted and the ETFs coming in, even though I don't like their ultimate long-term projections, which we know that may not come true, but either way, it was always destined that crypto, especially from the trading point of view, would always be brought into the existing system to some degree. And this is why I intend on, you know, taking some profit off some of my tokens in these next few years, and then looking at real decentralized projects that we can you can use some of those funds to create a decentralized platform, or develop a couple of the ones we're already involved in, and maybe help them to become a real, you know, people's network parallel economy. That's always the ultimate vision and goal. But to get there, you know, we have to have some funds, and we have to protect our own selves first. We have to put our own oxygen mask on. We have to help our families and friends as well, those who might really need it. And yeah, we can, in these coming times where there's a lot of poverty is out there now, you know, having a sound kind of money that's actually got value is going to be very, very valuable, and will change a lot of other people's lives if we can help them out. So that's really cool. So yeah, so basically that's my presentation for today. If anyone wants to ask a question, you're welcome. Before we sign off, there's quite a bit involved there, and you know, I know it might raise more questions than answers. So happy to hear from you, or you can put it in the chat if you want. Yeah, negative comments are usually, people who are just, they're scared. Yeah, it's fear. You know, it might also be, you know, there's other emotions that come in, but it's the shadow. It's the shadow of people's own selves, that the unexplored, unacknowledged parts of people that they have denied or resisted, and it comes up around money. And that's why I think we get poverty in the world, is because people's mindsets are geared that way, that poverty is somehow noble, or it's the way we've been conditioned. You know, it's a conditioning, and it's so pervasive that you can't blame people for being like that. I mean, I try my best to not react and not get pulled into some meaningless argument where people just want to gaslight me now. It's like, yeah, whatever, you know, thanks, goodbye. So, yeah, so Yeah, so some of you might have, when you're talking about crypto to your friends and family, I imagine some people might look at you sideways as well. I mean, it's no different, this is very unusual when only 5% of the population are in this. And most of my truther friends are either like, technology and money to them is like, the devil's sport, basically.
Yeah, I agree. Get a lot of that.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to be quite strong in ourselves and be quite grounded and sort of, just let these things go over us. People will fire pot shots, but, as long as we know why we're doing it and our own intentions, who cares what they think? It's none of their business. It's actually none of our business what they think of us too.
Mm, definitely.
Alrighty, well, cheers everyone. Oh yes, Josephine.
Yeah, just one question. You said that we have much more certainty when we are going where we are going versus buying Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, etc. Especially when regulations come in, then a lot of tokens won't survive compared to ISO tokens. So apart from XRP and XLM, what are the other ISO tokens?
XDC,
Okay. Yeah.
Quant,
Yeah.
Algorand,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
ALGORAND,
Yeah.
and IOTA, IOTA,
Okay.
and HBAR, or which is short for Hedera Hashgraph. But if you just put HBAR, HBAR, that one
Thank
as well
you.
is also, yeah. So because they wouldn't be listed as an ISO token if they were just going to be gone tomorrow. They're not going to. They're chosen basically, and by whom I don't know, but I just I don't yet know fully, but I think that it's a variety of people. But I do think a lot of those people that are behind these tokens are not from the central command. They're not from Cabal Central. Yes, they are investors, and some of them are already very wealthy people. But one of the biggest objectives to the whole CBDC and the current system is coming from these huge billionaires who have made a lot of money, but they don't want any bar of what's happening, even around the climate change and all of that. The more and more I hear them talk, the more and more it's like, wow, they're mobilizing to create a more I'd say inclusive capitalist society. That's what they want. They want to keep making money, and they want to do it. And they know that if they're going to keep making money, we have got to have innovation, and we've also got to have money in our pockets. Because if they suck all the money out of circulation, and we're all dependent on the state, there's going to be nothing left for them at the top, apart from the absolute central command. So they've got a real motivation to try and make a better system that is a win for them, but it's also a win for us. And that's how I see it. They're somewhere in the middle. Yeah, there might be greedy people and the whatever, but you're always going to get them in anything. It's just so, this is a new big step forward in humanity, but the effects of it won't be seen or felt by everyone for probably quite some time because of different beliefs and because of perception and because they don't see they won't participate with the system and money and that because of what I said before, is that they think it's actually inherently, evil, or it's bad, or it's, whatever. Just list all the beliefs that people have. So yeah, so that's just how I see it. It's just my opinion. Anyway, anyone else? You want anything else? Josephine, does? Yep, cool. Alrighty.